Hi, all. This is my second video from Contextually Speaking. And today my topic is going to be orienting yourself in European cities. The first thing I want to talk about is just generally how the trains work in terms of where they are, where the stations are. They tend to be on the edge of the center of town. So they also kind of drop you off right in a direction that leads you right into the center of town. This goes for France and Germany is what I have particularly in mind. And in France, always, Germany, usually, the church is right in the center of town. And because of the history of religion within France, it often has a higher steeple, and you can actually kind of see it as you're entering the town. And that tells you exactly where the center of the city is. This is helpful in locating the tourist information center. Now, they usually have some kind of tour guide information right at the station. But if you want to do a little bit more exploring on your own and kind of get a feel for where you are, a good helpful hint is look for the church, and that will kind of guide you to the center of town. So train stations, in French, they're called la gare. Gare du Nord is the North train station in Paris, or Gare Saint-Lazare is also in Paris. So Gare, la gare. And in German, it's Bahnhof, Bahnhof, Bahnhof. Literally, it means train station. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is understanding the structure of European cities. So the center of town, Centre-ville, literally Centerville in French, or Innenstadt, literally inner city in German, is always the oldest, wealthiest, nicest part of any city. It's a little bit contrary to how we generally consider the center of cities in America. Usually the inner city is not where you want to be, but in Europe it is. It's where all the museums and all the tourist attractions, cafes, everything is always in the center of the city. Another thing to keep in mind is European cities often have a river that cuts right through them. And that's just historically clear as to why. Like, that's how they did trade and how they traveled for centuries. So on one side of the river, in French, you have the rive gauche, rive droite. And usually in German, it's split in between Altstadt, Neustadt. So let's go to the French first. Rive gauche literally means the left side of the river. Rive droite is the right side of the river. In French, these have a very specific connotation because of Paris. The rive gauche side had developed a very particular character of where all the artists are, and was a little bit looser, a little bit more fun. And the rive droite is the more sophisticated side. It's where the Louvre is. It's where the Paris Opera House is, and a lot of the very high-end shopping. So there's that to keep in mind. And that kind of is reflective in other cities in a similar manner. And in Germany, usually the river splits up the Neustadt versus Altstadt. Altstadt is literally the old city, and Neustadt is the new city. I especially noticed very distinct characteristics of this in Dresden, so where I lived for 5 years. So Dresden, the Altstadt, is definitely the oldest part of the city. It's where the main churches are, and it's where the market is. It's sort of all those, the opera house, all those sort of things are in that Altstadt side. And that is often typical of most German cities. The Neustadt is a bit more hipper, a bit more trendier. And the interesting thing, though, is when we look at old versus new, it's not really in an American context that you might think of old versus new. It's more like within a couple hundred years of each other, they were developed. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. Trying to think if there's any other things that you would like to know. If there are, please, subscribe to my videos and write me a comment as to what else you would like to know. But mainly, I want you to get just an idea from this video of how to orient yourself within a city, and to not be afraid to take a train somewhere and go exploring. There's lots to explore in Europe, and just having a couple of these tips in mind as to how sort of the cities are structured can be helpful in doing that. So hope you had fun. Thank you.